Hi folks, and welcome to another DIY project. Today I'm talking about all things speedlights, mainly the power part of it. Those of you that use these on a regular basis will no doubt have encountered the problem that batteries don't last very long. And I'm talking the standard 4 AA batteries that you would put inside. So what do? Do you end up buying bags of rechargeable batteries or run to the shop every time the batteries run out and buy new ones, which can be very costly? And we all know how long it takes for rechargeables to charge up again. Or do you go out and spend big money on an actual purpose-built power pack for your speedlights? Or you could hang with me in this video and you could end up building one of these. And this is what this DIY project is about. This is a power pack I built, but I'm going to open it and I'm going to show you how it's wired. I'll draw up a wiring diagram. I'll discuss and show you the different items that are needed to complete the build. The beauty of this is with this connection here, this one here, it's what's known as a 2-pole CB. For those of you that are old enough to remember the old CB radios, that's what this socket is called, and you have a male and female connection. And the beauty of these is they're keyed, so they'll only work one way. So once you set up your polarity here and the corresponding polarity on this, there's no danger of it ever going wrong or connecting it the wrong way around, because as I say, they're keyed. Plus it has a lock nut, and once you plug it in you can spin down the lock nut and that's it. It's there to stay. The other thing I have on it here is a little power switch. This is an illuminating power switch. Now you don't have to get one of those, but that illuminates, but it's nice because it gives you an indication that this guy is actually on and running. In the middle here I have a 5mm power jack, but in the case of this it's for charging the battery. You switch it on and the switch lights up. Switch on your speed light. And this can be either mounted on a light stand or it can be on top of your camera shoe, depending on what way you want to use it. And you can see that the recycle on them is pretty quick. It's quicker, not hugely quicker, but it is notably quicker than if you use standard 4A or 4 AA batteries. And it'll stay doing that all day. So if you're into weddings or studio work, this is a godsend, because it will last at least 2 days of hard going and hard grafting. So it definitely is the answer. The whole project cost, between this and the charger, I think it worked out somewhere in the region of about €80. So the lead that connects the speed light, this guy here, it's a standard coil kind of lead that you'd see in any adapter, cigarette lighter adapter unit in a car. This is readily available anywhere, electronic stores, no problem, or on eBay. And the other, obviously that's the CB end. The other end then is inside here, and it's 2 dummy batteries. Now I will talk about this in greater detail, and I will show you a wiring diagram and how it all comes together. So let's get going. Okay, so what do we need for this project? Well, the first and obvious thing you're going to need is a battery. It's a 6 volt 4.5 ampere hour lead acid sealed battery. That's what you're looking for. 25, €30. That's what you're talking about. So that's the power end of it. You're going to need an enclosure, €3-4 I think, to accommodate the battery, and then also to accommodate our connecting devices here. This here is a 2-pole CB connector, and obviously you get the female end as well. They're keyed, they will only go one way. There is no worries about confusion with polarity, with positive and negative, because this only goes one way. So once you set it up that you have positive matching positive here and positive the other end, it's going to hold, it's going to stay, there's no problem. The other thing you're going to need then is, well, you don't have to get an illuminating switch, but I did just to indicate when this is actually turned on. Again, very little money. And this is a 5mm power connector or charging point, but in this case it's used as a charging point. So it's a case of cutting out holes to accommodate for the switch, the charging in the middle, and the 2-pole CB connector to this side. Now I'm not going to go through the rigmaroles of all of that and insult your intelligence. You're into DIY, this shouldn't be a problem. So obviously the neater you do it, the more pro it's going to look, okay? Once you have them seated in nice and neat and tidy, it's down to the wiring part of it. Now as regards the battery, when that's inside, it tends to be a little bit smaller than the housing, and that's no problem because you have to do that to accommodate for everything. That's what it looks like when it's in there. So what I do is I use this foam packing and basically just pack it down at the side there like that, and we'll push it in there, and we'll push a piece in there, another piece in after it, like so, and then we move the battery over against it and we push another one down there, and we push it in with the screwdriver, and basically all you're doing is you're taking up the slack, right, and away we go, and that way the battery sits nice and snug inside. And then it's a case of just put your lid on, away you go. This strap here is from an old pair of binoculars. The case, binoculars are broken, case was no good, took the strap off it and put it on to the box, the enclosure. It's a case of boring a hole through either side, big nut and bolt and washers, so that the strap can swivel, double over the end of the strap as well, so that it won't fray. That's the basics of it. Now it's a kind of a twofold project setup in that you have to have a wire then to run to the speedlight itself. Now this is the other part of the CB connector here. I'll use this one that's closed. So as I say, it's keyed. It can only go one way, so the positive here matches the positive on this, and it will always be that way. You can't get confused. The other end of that cable then, you need to make dummy batteries out of, I think that's 10mm dowel timber. And basically you put the positive of this end to here and you put the negative here, okay? And you can mark the ends of them to show positive and negative there. You're basically cutting the dowel timber that it's almost the length of a AA battery, bit of gaffer tape or insulating tape or electrical tape around it to take up to get the exact diameter, and to get the exact length then put two screws, a screw in on the ends, on one end of the actual dummy batteries. And under those screws is where the wires are wrapped around and connected. Now the other trick, and the big trick here, is to figure out on your speedlight, with these Yongnuo, and I have 3 of these and they're all the same, it's the bottom 2 that you're worried about and that you use. They're both ends of the 4 batteries connected in series. And I'll show you this in the diagram. But you need to figure that out with your version of speedlight. I can't vouch for Canon and Nikon and so on. So that's something you'll have to figure out yourself as to which of the two are both ends of the actual series connection of the 4 batteries, the AA's. And that's what gives you the 6 volts. Okay. When you have that figured out, then you need to, you're going to see that you have, on these, as I say, it's the bottom ones, and here is negative, and this one here is positive. So in the case of the positive one, the positive is what's looking up at you when you open the lid, but what's down inside is the negative. So you have to put the corresponding dummy battery as the negative side of the lead down into it, and the same with the positive. On the negative one here on the diagram, it's the positive that's down inside, so again you'd put the positive on that and you push the 2 of them in nice and snugly, and they just slide in like a battery, no different. And when you have them in, the other thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut a little notch in the lid here, and you're going to have to cut a little notch in the casing here to allow for this heavy cable to come out. Now that's not a problem, and don't worry about that. It's not going to obliterate your ability to go back to using ordinary AA batteries. No problem, you can use them. But if I want extra duration, this is the answer. These will work it for maybe 2 days hard grafting, no problem. Especially if you're into weddings and studio work and stuff like that. These are a godsend. The chargers, one charger obviously works all 3. Charger I think was about €25, that's all. If the battery, inevitably it will, and when it does fail and won't take a charge anymore, basically just unplug it with from the spade connectors, take it out, €25 buys you a new battery, pop it in, and you're hot to trot again. So that's basically the makeup of it and how this is constructed. Now the next thing I want to go through is the actual wiring diagram itself. So hang with me and we'll talk about that. Right, okay, we're going to lay out the wiring section for this. It's very, very simple, very straightforward. Basically we have our battery, 6-volt battery. We have our little power switch with the neon indicator that illuminates when you switch it on, and then you have your 5mm charging socket, and you have the CB plug that I showed you on the top of the enclosure. Battery is inside. Now basically how this operates is we take a positive from our battery, draw it here in red, up like so, over and up into the common of our switch. Okay, when I flick this switch on, power comes across here and out to the positive. Now I have these marked positive and negative, but regarding the CB plug, there definitely isn't any way. That's something you have to decide. Whereas the charging socket, yes, it has a positive and a negative, so you'd have to make sure you get that right. But with the CB plug, no, that's your choice, your decision, but we'll just go with this for now. So our positive comes up from our battery, up into the common of our switch, from the normally open side of the switch then over to the positive of the CB plug. That's fair enough. Now for our charging ability, we'll take the positive of our charging socket. Again, we'll draw it in red, and we jump that one there, and we come down, and we can either go directly to the positive on the battery, or we can go into the common on the switch. But I think what I did was I went directly to the actual battery itself. So we'll do it that way. Same thing if I put it in here, but I'm just bringing it down to the positive, because again you're using big spade connectors that are crimped onto the wires here, so it makes it very handy. The whole idea is that you have a direct connection between the charging socket, the positive of it, to the positive of the battery, so that it's irrelevant what mode or way this switch, orientation this switch is in. So that's all the positive side of it. Now the negative side, again you would have a negative coming from the charging socket directly down and into the negative of our battery, like so, right? The negative of the CB plug, the 2-pin, can come directly out and down and into a spade connector in the negative of the battery as well. The only other thing you have to be concerned about then as regards your negatives is the negative from the neon indicator in the switch. Now a negative has to go to that, otherwise it won't illuminate when you switch it on. So again, we would take a negative out of this. Now you could link it over to the charging socket if you wanted to, but we'll go directly down, jump that, and jump that red one, and we'll run along and in there into the negative of the battery. So you have 3 negatives going into the negative pole on the battery. You have 2 positives coming out. One set of positive and negatives coming directly from the charging socket directly to the battery, so that when you plug in the charger, it's directly connected to the battery and it charges it. The other positive from the battery then goes up and up to the common in your switch. From the normally open side, again it has to be the normally open because you don't want to do anything on until you flick the switch. So when you flick it over like that, the power travels up, it goes through the neon indicator as well and back and down to the negative of the battery, but it also goes up here and out to our CB plug to feed the speed light. The negative side of the CB plug is connected directly then back and down to our negative in our battery. So as I say, it's a very simple little circuit. I didn't bother with fuses or anything like that. So again, because this is keyed, and it, as I said several times in the video, it only can go one way. When you make your decision here that this pin is the positive and this one is the negative, and you match it in the corresponding pins on the female side of the plug, so that when you put the 2 together, the 2 positives are meeting and the 2 negatives are meeting. And once that's the case, it's set, because the keying of this won't allow you to make any unnecessary mistakes or get a short or mix up the negative with the positive, so there's nothing to worry about. So if you wire it exactly like that, inside in the little power unit, inside the little enclosure and your battery like I showed you, you should have absolutely no problems at all. Now as regards the serial connections on the battery, if you imagine, I'll quickly just draw it here. I hadn't actually decided on doing this, but if you draw, if you imagine 4 batteries, right, very quickly, very messy looking, but anyway, there's 4 batteries, let's say. These are the positive ends here, right, and if you imagine positive and negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, and positive and negative. Now when I say batteries in series, what I mean is you'd have a positive here, and this negative is connected to the positive of this, and this negative is connected to the positive of this one, and this negative is positive or connected to the positive of this one, and then you have your negative out here. So this is positive and this is negative, and that's the 4 batteries connected in series, and that's what's actually happening inside in the speed light itself. So you have to find out in the circuitry which of the 2 points or areas where batteries actually fit are designated to the positive and negative at the either end of the run of the serial connection or the series connection. That's what you have to figure out in yours. As I said, with the Yongnuo, I think that's how you pronounce it, it's the bottom 2. You'd have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's the bottom 2 that are the end of the sequence, right? So that might be negative, that's positive. So it would basically be this negative is connected to the positive of this, down through that to the negative of this, and back up through this one to the positive, and so on, that you're getting this effect here, that you end up with just a positive and a negative here, same as this here. Now the idea is when you put your battery, your dummy batteries in, the one that goes down here, because it's the inside down in the bottom of it will be the positive, and this one here will be the negative, right? Because what's positive looking up at you here is negative down the other side, and what's negative looking up at you here is positive on the inside, and that's what you have to concern yourself with. And that's how it works. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Thanks for watching. Good luck with the build, and I hope it proves useful to you. And as I say, if you follow this exactly, it will work for you, same as it works for me. Hit the old subscribe, share, like, all the rest. Take care, good luck.